Mone kicked off Dynamite this week to let us know that she's the greatest. So she's basically Danger Mouse. Also, you know, when Mercedes does come to the ring, we have to stand there and go, CEO, CEO. And if you're now saying, Simon, you've got no rhythm, I know, I'm me. Also, hello, my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for AEW Dynamite, which means we have loads to talk about, because, of course, it's the show coming off Double or Nothing, so we had to have angles, we had to have stories, and we had to have surprises. So do it with me. Take your finger of power. We give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down. So it was a big celebration because Mercedes Mone is our brand new TBS champion. Although she was both like a heel and a face here. She was like, woohoo, I'm the absolute best. Although apparently she turned into Mario. But also, Willow Nightingale, you are too nice. I could have told you that Stokely, Hathaway and Kris Statlander were going to do this to you. So when you come back, you got to whip their tuchus. Just as she started to mention too that now she is a champion, she will have a target on her back. Skye Blue interrupted and appeared on the big screen. I was like, man, that is a good target. Skye did have a surprise as well, and that was because a couple of months ago when Mercedes did get attacked, it was her, and she considers that some of her best work, when she must have used the Star Trek Enterprise's teleportation system because she was beside Mone, and she laid her out with the TKO. Oodalally. She also lifted the title above her head, so I was like, well, I guess we're going to do that at the next pay-per-view. But nope, we got told soon after this that this match was going to happen later tonight, and we'll talk to it when we get there. I do like the fact that Mercedes is keeping her arrogant edge though, because I just think it works for this character. Look, at this juncture, I thought this was going to be pretty good, and it was pretty good. I just have something to say about it. Obviously, otherwise you'd tune in and it would be this. That doesn't seem very entertaining, but up. We were then watching the Elite arrive at the building earlier, and while the Bucks and Okada arrived in some nice cars, Jack Perry turned up in that bus that has Scapegoat written on it. That is weird behaviour. It all led into a big video package to remind you about what did happen at Double or Nothing when we did get Swerve Strickland versus Killswitch. And this makes sense. The dinosaur has been making Swerve's life misery for ages. Now people do seem annoyed because Swerve didn't wreck this guy, but I have two things I want to talk about. One, it's not a guy, it's a dinosaur, damn it. And two, once again, it just goes back to real sports. Sometimes you do get two teams, and one is on a runaway freight train, and the other can't get a victory when all of a sudden they come together, and it's competitive. So you should do this in wrestling, and once again, it's a prehistoric creature. Could you beat a T-Rex in 8 seconds? No, you could not. This was also pretty damn good because Swerve survived the power game when he started going after Killswitch's leg when he tried to break his neck with a neck breaker. That was dumb, because once again, you can't do that to a dino. So he grabbed Strickland and threw him into Simba the Steel Step. Swerve then got whooped for a while, so he tried to strangle this monster while hitting a flatliner when he must have built up all his MP, because he hit this cool-looking brain buster. I was like, well, this is going to be good for my future projects, because now we know a dinosaur does have a brain. Killswitch returned fire instantly because he hit a chokeslam for a 1-2-ooh. I think he was just pissed off at this stage because he went to get a chair, but of course Prince Nana was there to stop him. That's why it's good to have a Nana in your corner. Swerve used that too as he hit all the stomps, including one that went right into the ring apron. And I checked this, that is the hardest part of the ring. When he was warming up to hit the house call, this is when we got the best part. His Killswitch wanted none of those, so he turned it into another choke slam when he hit a flipping standing moonsault. He then went for the big lariat, but Swerve was able to dodge that when he did get the house call. And everybody, including the commentators, thought it was going to be a 1-2-3. They even said as such, but it was only a 1-2-ooh, and Switch kicked out. I thought that ruled. It was just a tease though, because then Swerve Strickland did hit another house call, and he did get the victory here. So he has now basically done away with the patriarchy, and he can sleep restful at night once more. We also got a tie-in from a few weeks ago because Prince Nana gave the scissors to Swerve, who cut a lock of Killswitch's hair, because of course that's what he had done to the champ a few weeks ago. So I am going to give it an up. Again, we've now drawn a line under this. And also, I just thought it was pretty good. This is indeed when we did learn that it was going to be Mercedes versus Skye later, but we'll get to that when we get to that. When Jon Moxley was cutting a promo. He is facing Rocky Romero later for some reason, and look, this is a terrible idea, because he's still got a gammy arm from the weekend, so maybe he's a bit stupid for doing this. That isn't what champions do, though. He's not going to run away from Disneyland, and he's going to be in AEW, he's going to be in New Japan, and he is just going to have a crazy schedule. I was like, well, maybe you should go to Disneyland, John. It is okay to have a rest. When we had a talk show on AEW TV. Now look, they may have done this before, and I may have totally forgotten, but clearly it has slipped out of my brain, because I watched this and I was like, man, Toto, we ain't in Kansas anymore. It did make me laugh, however, because it was TV time with Chris Jericho, and man, he got all out with this set. I mean, it looked like a cartoon, and this tree they had but it may have been the best damn thing I ever seen in my life. It looked like something from South Park. Big Bill was here as well, and he had a lesson for us all that he has learnt from the learning tree, which I believe was, even though the leaves from a tree do fall in the fall, you know they're gonna grow back in spring. I was like, that's really good advice, Bill. Thanks very much. We have no idea what that absolutely means because we're humans and we're not leaves, which when Chris Jericho came out, he was like, we did it, my friends. We are still the FTW champion. This is when he did indeed invite Brian Keith to the ring, and I'm such a fan of this because Brian needed something. And man, we gave him a microphone and he just spat fire. He was like, I tell you why I helped you out, Christopher Jericho. It's because you're Christopher Jericho and you have done all these things in professional wrestling, but nobody was taking you up on your offer. I think that is disrespectful. Keith then got super mad at the crowd, and Jericho actually calmed him down by saying it's not an angry moment when Brian did reveal what he has learned. If you want something, you should just go after it. I was like, well, that's much better than Bill's leaf analogy. Do that one. I think they then referred to themselves as bad apples. I really hope that is what we're going to call Jericho's disciples. And of course, the crowd groaned at that one. They were meant to. When Hook thought this was way too far, he's like, man, you ain't making those bad jokes on my show. And he walked to the ring. He beat up some security guards, because that's his favorite thing to do. And just as he was going to get in the ring, Samoa Joe's music hit. He walked out. He said something to Hook. And these two left. Dun, dun, dun. Now, I don't know what that was because it sounded like a printer breaking, but here is the deal. Samoa Joe and Hook coming up with some kind of alliance is going to be so damn good. And as already mentioned, Brian Keith being part of something this major, well, it just makes me feel good in my Tootsie Toes. And these are the kind of people we should be bigging up. So I said the word up. But as unfair as it is for me to say, I just do not want wrestling talk shows on my AEW programming. Now look, that's an absolutely stupid thing of me to say, because no idea should be exclusive to a wrestling company. But even when WWE does them, I'm like, I've seen too much of these. Can we do something else? And given that wrestling is a creative endeavor, I just feel like we should have come up with something else. Now don't get me wrong, I love that set. I love that set more than I loved my own mother. A terrible thing to say, and it's not true, but I cannot help the way that I felt, and I do have to give it a down. We then got a video focusing on CMLL Women's Champion and New Japan Strong Women's Champion Stephanie McCurr, and at that point you were like, well, I bet this is going to figure into Forbidden Door, and you bet your ass it was. Just wait a minute. When Jon Moxley defeated Rocky Romero. Naturally. So I'm just going to get the down out of the way because I am done with these title eliminators. Like, if the underdog won every now and then, it'd be perfectly fine. But now you sit down and you can predict the victor from a mile away, and that just takes away a little bit of the jeopardy. And now I think we've got to the point where it is the law of diminishing returns. I just don't believe. And I need to believe. It's like Tinkerbell. That's a down. You know the rest of it though. They totally smashed it because they're just good wrestlers. Rocky did attack at the bell because he knew he had to do this, and he went after Moxley's arm when he tried to suplex him. He shouldn't have done that one because Jonathan had it scouted and he hit a suplex of his own. Mox then went for the hammer and elbows when he tried to do a superplex, but Rocky pushed him down and he hit the stop when he remembered once again, ha, you do have a bad arm. And by this point it was flashing red. John then bit him because of course he did, and just when Rocky thought, oh, finally, I'm getting momentum back, John smashed him with a cup. Remember, they did come back with an arm breaker and Moxley was able to reverse that into a choke, but you know the deal. If you can't breathe, not only can you wrestle, you're probably gonna die. So Romero was like, well, I can just hit you on the arm, which he did, and he got out of it. So I did appreciate this because we were trying, but eventually Moxley came flying out the corner with a big old lariat when he hit the Death Rider and he got the 1, 2, 3. This was it as well. It was just a match to do a match, which I don't mind, but I just think sometimes AEW does a match to do a match a little bit too much. What do I know? Absolutely nothing. I couldn't even keep my hair, but I am giving it up. Hook was then chatting to Rennie Paquette and he was with Samoa Joe, and Samoa made it very clear why they did do what they did earlier, because they don't exist on other people's time, because dangerous people exist on their own time. Now look, he said it way better than that, but it was such a cool line, and I tell you, Samoa Joe and Hook as a team, or Samoa Hook, or Hook Joe, count me in. Don Callis was out next because, as he had promised at the pay-per-view, it was time to give somebody a contract. He wanted Orange Cassidy to come to the ring because he actually sees a little bit of himself in Orange. Straight away I was like, that is not true, man. You are quite clearly a human male, and he is a piece of fruit. There is no way you can ever coexist. He did indeed offer Cassidy a contract though, but Orange just grabbed this and he ripped it up when he turned to Don and he just said the most special of all words, no. Before any violence could take place though, out came Kris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway, and their big thing was this: don't worry about it, Don Callis, because we have actually ensured that one of our best friends will sign a deal with you, and that's when Trent is in the ring. He attacked Orange Cassidy, and that's right, the brand new member of the Don Callis family is Trent. They also busted open Orange when they did the unthinkable. They stood over his body and they did the best friend hug, complete with the camera pullback. And I was like, you two are absolutely disgusting. So we did predict this, but it does make all the sense in the world. And at the end of this, the commentator just went, oh, by the way, it's Will Ospreay versus Kyle O'Reilly on Collision for the international title. I was a bit like, why do we rush those things? It could be an entire story. Otherwise, though, this was exactly what it should have been, and Orange was going to have a cool moment later, and putting Trent in the Don Callis family means he can probably now get some wins using outside shenanigans. So I am going to give it an up. I think this story is ticking along nicely. Renee was then with Matt Menard and Daniel Garcia. I was like, where the flub have you been? Now, Garcia agreed with this because he is tired of just spinning his wheels when he said, you know what? I want a shot at the international title. Where does this stuff come from? His big plan is to make Ospreay's bags lighter because, of course, then he won't have to carry around the belt. And my big question, as a massive nerd, is this. His 2024 record is better than Kyle O'Reilly's 2024 record, so why isn't Daniel Garcia getting the shot first? But I do think this may tie into what happened at the end of the show, so we shall wait and see. When we did indeed get to it, it was Skye Blue versus Mercedes Mone, and as I have kind of been hinting, given that this was based on a whodunit, I thought it was going to turn into something, but nope, Mercedes just won. Now do not get me wrong, I think it was important that Mercedes did get a definitive victory against someone, and also I thought this was a really good match, but it kind of ties into what I just said earlier. I just think we've rushed it a little bit. Anyway, Renee did start with arm drags before she sent Skye to the outside with some head scissors. And given that they were out there, she hit a Meteora. I was like, Mercedes, you're right, you are actually really, really good. Hilariously, it was a neck breaker that got Skye Blue back into this, because everybody in 2024 loves neck breakers. When Monet hit this, I don't know what you call it, flipping Meteora thingamajig. Really cool. She also got the backstabber and posed a little bit, so I presume Skye must have taken a med pack there, but nobody did see, because she booted Mercedes right in the face when she hits the hurt donut. I'm just clapping away. I love that somebody has a move called that. Skye then thought she could win the gold blue and she went for it, but Mercedes reversed that into the Monet maker, and she totally hit it right this time. That looked damn good. She got the 1, 2, 3. This is where it all did come together though, because as soon as Mercedes Moné was celebrating, Stephanie Vacor's music hit, and she did come out. So you have to presume this is our first match for the Forbidden Door. So I do think this was really good, and I can never get mad at the crossovers, so I am giving it an up. But I just don't think we needed to pay off the Skye Blue stuff so quickly. Like, I know AEW tries to stay away from this stuff, but I bet Stephanie could have probably got involved and, I don't know, just kind of thrown this thing out here. As we did call them some shenanigans, then these two could have fought the pay-per-view, and then we come back to the Skye Blue feud later on. And I suppose we still could do that, but I'd love a question mark over the whole thing. So yeah, that's a down. I mean, my big worry is just that I do not want the audience to start being taught, oh, we don't have to care about these segments because they're not going to go anywhere. You always want them to go somewhere. Otherwise, you may as well Google map to your own house. This is when Stokely, Hathaway, and Kris Statlander did their big promo backstage, and honestly, these two are going to be so good. I don't know why I'm covering my eyes, I just think they're next level. They think it's embarrassing that Willow Nightingale likes Disneyland though, so Disney must have sponsored this episode, when Kris made it very clear why she did do what she did do, and that's because a few weeks ago she had said to Willow, well, I would love a shot at that TBS title, and what did her supposed friend do? Totally ignore her. That is why she's sticking with Hathaway, because he was always there for her when Stokely was like, listen, this person has come back from 2 ACL tears, and they didn't go home and whine, unlike all these other bitches who get hurt and you never see them again. He was like, and I'm talking about the men here, I haven't even got onto the woman. He is so damn good. Kris then continued, this is the first time she's ever done anything for herself, because usually she is just somebody else's protector, but now everybody is gonna need protection from her. That's a good line. So this is absolutely an up from me. I knew these two were going to split from Willow, but they are just going to be great. And when Nightingale does come back and we do this feud, plug me in, it's gonna rule. When we got this great video for MJF, who is gonna return on Dynamite next week, and I cannot wait for that, when it was time for the Elite and to sort out the TNT title situation. Because as we did learn a couple of days ago, Adam Copeland did actually break his leg when he did that crazy bump from the top of the cage. But you really need to go and watch the video he did post about this. That guy is just the best person in the world, and by all accounts has been an absolute wonderful person to have backstage in AEW. So I sent him all the best wishes, and I hope he's back soon. Okada then decided to win the night, however, because as they were going to start their promo, all the fans were chanting CM Punk. So he grabbed the microphone and he just said, "Shut up, bitches." Honestly, he could be my favorite person in wrestling. Jake Perry then got booed out of the place like he was Dominic Mysterio, so this whole thing has worked. As he talked about the Anakin Arena match, and he was like, "I slayed the dragon because it was me that smashed Brian Danielson right in the face, and I pinned him." And look, this probably was a smart thing to do. He now feels like he is growing and growing and growing. Matthew and Nicholas then chimed in. They're like, "Man, you two did such a good job at the pay-per-view. We have got you some gifts." When we cut to the big screen, they bought Okada a Lamborghini with a license plate that says Rainmaker. And Okada was like, "Oh, I can't believe it. Is this a dream?" Once again, I'm just giving him a round of applause. He is the best asshat. Matthew then apologized to Adam Copeland because he does feel partly responsible for what happened at Double or Nothing. Because before he went out for his match, he said, "Break a leg." Seriously, these guys are just excellent dickheads. But as they are EVPs, they do have some tough choices to make, so given that we do have a vacant TNT championship, and because Jack did so well at the show, they are giving it to him. He's the brand new TNT champion. This is exactly what we should have done. This is where things got nuts though, because Christopher Daniels walked out. I was like, wait a minute, you got fired. But as it turns out, Tony Khan has employed him as the interim executive talent guy, basically a babyface GM. And he said, "Perry, you are not the champion. And in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to have a bunch of qualifying matches. And the winners of all of those will go on to the Forbidden Door in a ladder match. And the winner of that is the TNT champ." Good grief. There's going to be no outside interference in any of these two, so the Elite are totally screwed. The first one is happening on Friday Night Dynamite. Obviously meant Rampage. It made me laugh. This is when the Acclaim joined the party as well, because they had thrown some words at the Elite earlier too, and it does sound like we are going to do Max Caster and Anthony Bowens versus Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. And good. The Acclaim needed to go back to being a tag team ages ago. Remember when they had the titles? It was beautiful. So I did appreciate the fact we built up a lot of angles here, and I bet that ladder match at the pay-per-view will be totally bonkers. I'm a little bit worried with a good guy GM. Now actually it's worked out fine on WWE, so I shall wait and see, and that rhymes, which means we are doing the right thing. It's just we have seen this time and time again, but in terms of a segment, it did everything it had to do up. Prince Nana was then in the back with Swerve Strickland, and he said we should call him Stevie Wonder because nobody can see what he is going to do in the ring. So I don't really understand what that means either. When Swerve said, "Well, later on we're going to find out who my brand new opponent is, and it could be anybody." And man, he was shooting from the hip. This is when Roosh called out MJF as well. So I think that's going to be his first feud, which seems totally crazy because there ain't no way that Maxwell is going to lose that one, and Roosh needs some wins. When we just had the best main event. Because it was this casino gauntlet, and I tell you, we need to pick a pay-per-view, and that needs to be the home of this match, because it is totally fun. And I'm being like a lame person here, but I can't think of a better comparison. It actually could be the AEW's Royal Rumble. That's how much I enjoy it. I just don't think we should do another one for a while, because we only did one a few weeks ago, because if we do keep it special, my word, it may fly. I mean, the rules are totally crazy because, of course, it is a sudden death pinfall that can win the thing, which means you never know how many competitors you are going to get, and even after you do get a submission or a 1, 2, 3, we are led to believe there are more guys in the back going, "Oh, I can't believe it, I was meant to be next." Jay White and Pac were 1 and 2 though, which made me do the dance of joy, because again, it makes all the sense in the world. I'm going to be that dude again, but it's like the Royal Rumble. Have Jey Uso as number 1 and Jimmy Uso as number 2. It just ties into the story. Pac just ruined him as well because he had been a dick at the pay-per-view when Mystico was number 3. What a wonderful surprise. He and Pac went at it before we got this big old dive when Will Ospreay was in at number 4, and at this stage I think we all knew what was going to happen. It was essentially Groundhog Day. He always had a back and forth with Mystico, so in many ways this was like a dream match, and just when Will Ospreay was about to go at it with Pac, Mystico stopped all of this. So I was mad at him because I need to see it. He was able to apply the Mystica to Ospreay though, and maybe he was going to tap when we got another surprise because New Japan Shota Umino was here. Good. You absolutely have to go and see the sequence that him and Will Ospreay did too, because while obviously some people won't like this because it's not to their tastes, I thought it was absolutely sublime. I mean, it's like watching the Power Rangers fight. Claudio Castagnoli felt different because he was in next, and honestly, bless this Jay White. He wanted nothing to do with Claudio, so he was quite literally throwing bodies in his way just so he wouldn't be able to get to him. It didn't work as Castagnoli then hit the big swing on everyone, and you need to go see how Pac sold this. I mean, most people grab their head because they don't want to get dizzy. but Pac was just flailing around. And it really does remind me he's probably the best secret wrestler in the world. We then got another shock because Lio Rush was in at number 7 and he looked totally great here when we added some real importance to the thing, because Orange Cassidy came out at number 8, and sure, you can go, well, that doesn't make any sense. He got beaten up earlier, but listen, if you knew a world title match was potentially on the line, of course you'd throw yourself into this. Again, it just gives it so much gravitas. That's good booking. All these guys just went off and Claudio and Orange did this ridiculous suplex DDT spot when CMLL also got involved with this because Hechicero was here and he just flew around the ring. At this point, I looked at the squared circle and I was like, my word, they're all so damn talented. At this point, I half expected my Nan to turn up because there were so many surprises when we just got all of these dives. And I think everybody was enjoying this, apart from Juice Robinson, because he just repeated what he did do at Double or Nothing. And just when Pac was about to smash Jay White with the Black Arrow, he pushed him from the top of the top rope. I was like, damn you, Juice. White was then going to win with the Hidden Blade on Cassidy, but Ospreay saw this when he ran in and hit the Hidden Blade when it looked like he was going to hit Stormbreaker onto Orange Cassidy, who turned it into a Hurricane Rana for a 1-2-ooh. Once again, just totally great. William was done with all of this though at this point, and he hit the Oz Cutter to get the 1-2-3 and win the thing, which I was a huge fan of, because something like that should be a finishing move. But it also means, at Forbidden Door, he's the number 1 contender. So Swerve came out and he looked at Will, and Will looked at Swerve, because of course when you do that, things are super duper serious. Now, it does get me massively intrigued because we got here way too fast, because you would imagine on a show like Forbidden Door, the international title should be defended because it's an international show. So maybe Will is going to lose that and then become the world champion. But at the same time, I don't think Swerve should be losing his belt right now. What the flub are we gonna do? Here's the deal though, as long as we do have a good plan and we can justify it, why the flub not? Because again, I'm gonna be dead one day, so why stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne? Let's put all of our top guys in a top guy fight-a-thon or something like that. But either way, this match is totally brilliant. It's getting it up. I mean, I love it so much. If you want to make a pay-per-view called Casino Gauntlet, whatever the flub you want to name it, I'd be totally fine with that. I'm also going to give this episode an up. I do admit things are a little bit wishy-washy here and there, but overall, I'm still having a pretty good time. Now, please do leave me a comment below and let me know how wrong I was about this episode of AEW Dynamite, because apparently I am all of the time. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for Raw, so we can support all of professional wrestling. Otherwise, you have a lovely day, my friends. See you soon.